Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. This is video number 3, part 3 on the new studio build. And today we are constructing the top part of the desk. This is going to have the rack mount and this is where the monitors are going to sit. This was kind of inspired by just not wanting to have these individual monitor stands and to have this other rack mount that I built, which works perfectly fine. I just wanted everything on the desk. It was the main reason for going with a desktop this large so that I could have everything right there at arm's length and also just be able to adjust all of that. That way, when I want to stand and mix, everything else is getting elevated. So it will always be at the level that I want it to be. So let's get into some videos on how I constructed this rack mount / monitor stand. All right, so the first thing that I did was find the absolute center of the top part here, and we'll just sort of focus in on the middle section here, the middle rack, and then we'll work our way out. I think that will be the best way to do this. So again, I just measured out and then found that the center of it was right here, and I've made a point there. And then our middle section needs to be, or our rack area needs to be 19 inches. And so I just divided that by 2. And so at the center mark there, just made that a 9.5 mark here, and then another 9.5 mark here. And so that is where we're going to put our legs for the first one. And so since this is the 19-inch mark, the mark is actually going to go on the inside of the legs here. So the first thing we'll do is glue these down and let those sit, and then we will screw or put some screws in on the top side to really connect each of the legs. All right, so it's had a chance to dry. And now we're gonna flip it around, get it clamped together so it's nice and secure when I put the screws in. here, with gold, just so it can kind of. So now all we have to do is put in 2 more on each side to have 3 different rack mounts. And starting in the middle is really going to make that easy because all we have to do is just measure out 19 inches from the outside of these legs here. So we'll do the same process, the exact same process as we did here. I'm just going through the boards that I have. Since I have 6 pieces, I only need 4. So I'm just checking out which ones are the best. Like I said, it wasn't the best cut that they did at Lowe's. But while I'm looking at these, I just wanted to show you some of my favorite pliers. This is from a Gerber multi-tool. If you're interested in this, I'll leave a little link to where I bought it at Amazon. And I just love these pliers because a lot of pliers, especially on multi-tools, they never, at the very tip, I don't know if you can see, but at the very, very tip, they actually touch. So you could put like a piece of paper in between this. You could put a thin piece of paper and it hold it. And a lot of pliers leave a big gap where they don't touch. And so these, you can actually see, maybe, but at the very end, they actually have a little piece that goes down that touches so that it can grab a hold of anything. And I really love these. And when I have like these little bitty staples, trying to get out of wood, instead of like having to like try to pry the thing out and damage the wood, you're like digging into the wood. These pliers come in so handy because they almost have like little teeth that can grab around. I'll show you. Like that. So, I don't know, maybe you're interested in multi-tools or you need a new one or just something in your EDC or carrying around the house or just have around the house. These are fantastic. And they're like not near as expensive as the Leathermans out there. And they do not touch. So anyways, just a little tidbit for you there. All right, so what I'm going to be putting on the top part here where all of the gear and the monitors are going to sit is some tung oil. And went with this instead of a stain because I, one, didn't want to deal with a stain and all of that mess, and maybe it not match as well as the desktop. So this is something really cool you can get. It's just sort of going to enhance the natural wood markings, the grain marks, and just kind of elevate it a little bit, bring out a little bit of color. And the more coats that I do use of this, the more of that color that you'll get. So we'll probably be able to match this lighter part of the desktop with the rack mount. All right, so got one coat of it on here. We'll let that dry for, I don't know, a couple of hours. You can also go back in about 15 minutes and remove some of the excess, but I wasn't really putting it on that thick. I may go back and wipe it off a little bit, but after this sits and dries for a couple of hours, we'll come back, put another coat on it, and then we will continue our process in this studio desk build. So one thing that I do like to do and recommend, if you don't have an extra set of hands to help, is putting in your equipment, your rack mounts, lying down so that whatever you do can just easily be dropped in and screwed. And then another little tip that I like is to use a little bit of Scotch tape, and I'm going to put that over the holes here just so that the screws don't damage the front part of your expensive pieces of gear. So just like this. So I'll just take like a little square piece, if you can see that, if it'll focus. And then stick it over the hole. Just like that. And then the screw will go through it. So I'm going to do that for each of them. Now don't go tight until all of them are in. Another thing that I just want to mention, and you might already know this, but I don't like to put anything directly on top, especially when you've got things like the Apollo interface. You can't really see it right now. There you go. There's some vents here, and so it is important for this to vent and not get too hot on top. And so I always leave a little space here, and I won't be putting anything on top of that. But like my other compressor over here doesn't have that. There's no sort of ventilating already going on. And so, I mean, I probably won't put anything directly on top of it. I would probably always just leave like one space just because, just so I know that everything is ventilating and properly and not, getting overheated, because that compressor that I have is actually a tube compressor. And so it's got a bulb in it. So I don't want to get that to get too hot either. So I'm probably just going to place it very similarly to this on this side. And so I just sort of positioned it where it would be this middle panel, where it would be directly over my head. So right there in the middle. And I sort of stuck the yardstick like this and just let it hit the wall, and then measured it where that piece of tape is. And then I took the leveler. It's got a little infrared marker where I can shoot straight up the wall and see that I'm level. Then I put another piece of tape and then just went from there. And so I wanted about 10 inches away from the wall. So I measured 10 inches away from that one, 10 inches away from that one. And then the distance apart on how wide is where these hooks were. And they'll be off just a little bit on each one because, you know, I put these in there myself, and sometimes the wood is a little different. But yeah, so it was about 25 and 5/8, I think. And leveled that out so both sides are 10 inches from the wall so that will all be level. And the next thing I gotta do is measure out, I believe it was 71¼ inches long. That one is. So almost just under 6 feet, I believe. So yeah, so we will find a spot. This has now been turned off, so even if you turn on the switch over there, the fan will not be in use anymore. So we'll just be going in between wherever it lays. But I'm gonna go ahead and get that marked up. Now this one's a little bit trickier because the tape measure, of course, when you go a long distance, will droop down. So we'll have to figure something out there. You might have to have some help when doing this. At least help does make it easier. So let's go ahead and get the back end of this up. And I just wanted to show you what I'm using for the hooks, the ceiling hooks, are these Versa hooks by Cobra. I really like these. This is the third studio that I've used these in for hanging the cloud panels. So I really like them. They're very sturdy and they've got a good length here to go up in the drywall. And I do use the anchors that come with it. I'd highly recommend using the anchors, unless you're maybe drilling this into some wood planks or anything like that. But if you're going into drywall, definitely use the hooks here. And what I've done, actually, because I kind of learned this the hard way, I would use a smaller drill bit, and then I would try to hammer in those anchors. And so I had to go buy more. This is a pack that comes with screws too. I don't really use the screws, but it's always nice to just have these around, I guess. But these anchors are just a drywall anchors, I guess is what they're called. This one comes with a drill bit. And you might think it's pretty thick. It's very dirty now because I've just gone through some drywall, but it's not. And I learned that the hard way by using a smaller drill bit and then trying to hammer in the anchors. And when the hole is too small and you hammer these things in, they'll just fall apart. They'll break right there on the side part that's actually supposed to expand and anchor from the top part of the drywall. So make sure that you use the one that it comes with. Hopefully you can find one that they come with. I actually do recommend that. Because, I mean, obviously they're all different sizes, but I used to think that this one was too big, but it's not. They will grip, they will hold. Use the one it comes with. So just a little tip there. All right. One down. 2 to go. And one thing I'll mention here, while we can look at it from this angle,
is that I like to slope my clouds. So I like to have it lower on the desk side and go up. I would say, I don't know, maybe about 6 inches at difference. And depending on how it sounds, I may adjust that, but I'll adjust it to where it still slopes on the desk side, the wall side here. And I just find that it works better. That's just my opinion. It might not work in every room. We'll see how it works in this room. That's why these ceilings are a lot lower than where I had these originally. So we'll see if that matters. And as you can see, if you place it right, you can put up clouds with a ceiling fan. And I did, you know, I'm not gonna remove the ceiling fan. That would be ridiculous. Because who knows, you know, this room may be something else a little later down the road. And so I didn't want to get rid of it completely. But I did take out the little light fixtures because no need for those. And yeah, I made sure that it was off, the fan is off, so if you use the switch over there, nothing happens as well. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the left and the right side measured up and get this room ready to start mixing.
All right, y'all, that's it for this episode. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like to share, please leave them down in the description below. Or, as always, you can email me, emily@fairairmusic.com. While you're there, don't forget to check out all of the free downloads that I have and some of those premium products like the templates and mixing courses. I'm definitely going to have another part to this sort of studio build series, and that's where we're going to go over everything when it's all nice and organized and put together, and wrap this whole thing up and let you have a real detailed look at everything that we've created so far. All right, y'all, thanks so much for being here, and we'll talk real soon.